Good afternoon and welcome to a meeting of the Chesapeake School Board. A printed agenda is available in the back of the room if you wish to follow the business items we'll be discussing this evening. Roll call, Dr. Smith.
Mr. Elijah Colon.
Here.
Miss Malia Huddle.
Here.
Mr. John McCormick.
Here.
Mr. Norman Poole.
Present.
Dr. Amanda Quilland.
Here.
Mrs. Angela Swigert.
Here.
Mrs. Amanda Walker.
Here.
Mr. Mike Lamonia, Vice Chair.
Here.
Mrs. Kim Scott, Chair.
Here. The next item is the adoption of the agenda. Does the superintendent or any board member wish to add or delete an item from the agenda?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I don't have any amendments to add to the agenda, but we will need a closed session for personnel matters, student matters, and contractual matters.
I'll entertain a motion for approval. Moved by Ms. Huddle. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Poole. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith?
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
We will now go into the closed portion of our meeting. I'll ask Vice Chair Lamonia to read the language to take us into closed session.
Chair Scott, I move that the board should convene in closed session pursuant to the Code of Virginia, Section 2.2-3711, subsections A1, A2, and A29, for discussion and consideration of personnel matters, including the consideration of candidates for the position of superintendent and other administrative appointments, student disciplinary matters, and contractual matters regarding school parking and portable storage.
Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Poole. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Dr. Smith?
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
Before we move into closed session and in accordance with Bylaw 2-33, we will need a motion to approve the remote participation of VSBA representatives Samantha Bosserman and Bella Corbo, as well as Sands Anderson attorney Nikki Chook, who will join us for the discussion in closed session. I'll entertain a motion for approval. Moved by Mr. Lamonia. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Colon. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Dr. Smith?
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
We are now in closed session. Vice Chair Lamonia, would you please read the statement to bring us back into open session?
Chair Scott, I move that the record shows that the only items discussed in the closed meeting were those specifically cited in the motion to convene into the closed meeting and those lawfully exempted from statutory meeting requirements.
Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Swigert. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Dr. Smith?
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
Thank you. Dr. Cotton, do you have items resulting from closed session?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. We do have 2 student matters and a couple personnel matters. I'll start with the student matters. The first one, I recommend that student number 32326E-1 be expelled with services.
I'll entertain a motion for approval.
I'd like to make a motion.
Moved by Mr. Colon. Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Huddle. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith?
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The second one is I recommend that student number 32326E-2 be expelled.
I'll entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Lamonia. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Colon. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith?
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
And finally, we have 2 administrative appointments for board approval. Mrs. Jean Marie Park from Assistant Principal, Southeastern Elementary School, to Special Education Administrator for the Chesapeake Virtual Academy. However, that would be effective July 1st, 2026, with board approval. And Dr. Crystal Moore from Administrative Specialist, Crestwood Elementary, to Assistant Principal, Crestwood Elementary, effective tomorrow, if the board approves. Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion for approval. Moved by Ms. Huddle. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Lamonia. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith?
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
There being no additional items resulting from closed session, I will provide a brief update on the superintendent search process. In accordance with Virginia law, the school board will hold a special meeting on April 13th, 2026 at 5 p.m. to convene in closed session to consider candidates for the position of superintendent. The board will reconvene in open session following the closed meeting to announce the interview schedule. No other public business will be conducted. Now we will move on to the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance. At this time, I'd like to call up Reverend Sarah Locke from Hickory United Methodist Church to provide tonight's invocation. Afterwards, I'll ask Emery Lee, a fifth grader from Greenbrier Intermediate School, to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand as you are able.
Let us pray. Gracious and loving God, we pause at the beginning of this meeting to center ourselves in your presence. You are the source of all wisdom and compassion and every good gift. And so tonight we lift before you our school community, those who lead and those who serve at each level. We pray for principals and administrators, for teachers and aides, for bus drivers who begin the day before sunrise, cafeteria workers who nourish bodies as well as spirits, for custodial staff who care for the spaces where learning happens, and for every unseen hand that makes this system run. We ask that you would bless them with strength, patience, and a deep sense of what they do really matters. We pray for students entrusted to their care, that each one would be seen, valued, and given the opportunity to grow and thrive. And we pray, Lord, for this meeting, and we ask for your guidance. Make this space a place of deep listening and mutual respect. Stir up creative ideas that serve the good of all, and guide each decision with wisdom, courage, and compassion. May all that is said and done here tonight be for the good of each student, every staff member, and our community. We ask this in your Son's name. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Sorry, thank you, Emery, and thank you, Pastor Locke. The Lee family is a wonderful family. Miss Lee is a PE teacher at Greenbrier Intermediate, and Dr. Rankin is the proud principal. Thank you so much for being here tonight. And Emery loves to play softball and is a stellar student. Next, under awards and recognitions, is a resolution regarding the month of the military child. Dr. Smith.
Thank you very much, Chair Scott. At the request of the superintendent, we have prepared a resolution that would commemorate April 2026 as the month of the military child. We have some special guests with us tonight, and at this time I would like to invite our Family and Community Engagement Specialist, Mrs. Laura Lerf, to the podium, who will introduce our guest and present the resolution for the board's consideration. Thank you for being here, Mrs. Lerf.
Thank you so much. Good evening, Chair Scott, Vice Chair Lamonia, school board members, Dr. Cotton, and staff. I'm honored to be here this evening alongside my FACE teammate Lisa Carey, Commander Christopher Johnson, Executive Officer, and Dr. Nakia Gilmore, Child and Youth Programs Director, all from NSA Hampton Roads. Thank you guys so much for being here this evening. Together, we're pleased to present for your consideration a resolution recognizing April as Month of the Military Child. Through our strong and ongoing partnership, we're proud to support our schools as they celebrate, recognize, and uplift our military-connected students and families. We're also incredibly proud that every school in our district has earned the Purple Star designation, demonstrating a deep commitment to supporting military families. We remain deeply grateful to our military families for their service, sacrifice, and the strength they bring to our community. The resolution reads as follows. Whereas the Commonwealth is home to more than 77,000 school-age military-connected children, and whereas military families in Virginia include men and women on active duty service in the Air Force, Army, Coast Guard, Marine Corps, and Navy, and members of the reserves and the National Guard. And whereas Virginia is a proud member of the Interstate Compact on Educational Opportunity for Military Children, which addresses key transition issues encountered by military-connected children, including enrollment, placement, attendance, eligibility, and graduation. And whereas military-connected children often demonstrate resilience, perseverance, maturity, and cultural competence in the face of frequent moves, family separations through deployments, and reintegration following deployments. And whereas military-connected children provide unique and valuable perspectives on learning, friendship, and service to others. And whereas the Month of the Military Child provides an opportunity to salute our military-connected children and acknowledge the contributions they bring to their families, our schools, our communities, and our Commonwealth. And whereas across the nation, individuals are encouraged to wear purple on April 15th, 2026, in celebration of Purple Up for Military Kids, to show support for military-connected children and to thank them for their strength and sacrifices. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Chesapeake School Board recognizes April 2026 as Month of the Military Child and encourages schools and communities to celebrate this recognition with activities to honor the contributions of our students from military families. Be it further resolved that the Chesapeake School Board expresses its sincere gratitude to military-connected children throughout the Commonwealth for their service to our great nation. The resolution is attested by each member of the school board, our superintendent, and the clerk of the board. At this time, Madam Chair, I respectfully request the adoption of this resolution.
I'll entertain a motion for approval. Moved by Mr. Lamonia. Is there a second? Second. Seconded by Mr. Poole. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith?
Motion carries with all board members voting yes. Thank you so much, Mrs. Lurf, for being
Thank
here and
you.
presenting this important resolution tonight.
Thank you, sir. We will now move on to the opportunities for public comment. Tonight, we have two opportunities for public comment. First, we will hold the final public hearing on the attendance zone options for the new elementary school in the Culpeper Landing subdivision. That will be followed by the hearing of citizens. Dr. Smith, are there any citizens who have requested to speak under either of these opportunities this evening?
Yes, Madam Chair, we have 3 citizens that have signed up to speak for the public hearing, and we have 0 under hearing of citizens.
Okay. I want to thank those speakers who signed up to address the board this evening. As a reminder, there are 2 ways that citizens can request time to speak at the meeting. You can call the clerk's office before 12 p.m. the day of the meeting, or sign up to speak prior to the start of the meeting. All in-person requests to speak must be submitted to the deputy clerk 5 minutes prior to the published meeting start time. Each speaker will have 3 minutes to address the board. Once your allotted time is over, we ask that you promptly exit the podium. We would also like to ask that you refrain from any behavior that disrupts the meeting, including the use of profanity, applause, cheering, or jeering. Dr. Smith, please call the first speaker in accordance with the established order of the public comment opportunities.
Yes, ma'am. Speaker number 1, you're invited to the podium. We ask that speakers state their name and city of residence before they begin their remarks.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Taylor. I'm from Chesapeake. Good evening. My name is Jennifer Taylor, and I'm a resident of Creekwood South. I'm a parent of a 2nd grader at Grassfield Elementary and a freshman in the Governor's STEM Academy at Grassfield High School. I'm also a physician associate practicing locally in primary care. First, I would like to say thank you for the work you do to support our students and schools. In June of 2023, I made the decision to move my family from another city in Hampton Roads to Grassfield for the sole purpose of being able to send my children to the best school district in the area. Redistricting is never easy, and I appreciate the effort that has gone into studying these challenges. I understand the district's goal is to address overcrowding and reduce portable classrooms, and I believe the current proposal of options 3 and 4 may create unintended consequences while not providing the greatest long-term relief to overcrowding or reduction in portable use compared to options 1 and 2. Research in education policy consistently emphasizes the importance of school stability for elementary age students. Frequent or unnecessary school reassignment can have a multitude of negative impacts on a student's academic performance, engagement, social development, emotional well-being, and establish friendships, peers, and support groups. In our neighborhood, children who currently ride the school bus together would be separated and sent to different schools under all options. In addition to this, our option 3, our transportation time would nearly triple, and that's not taking into account to school-related traffic. Our children have established relationships with teachers, classmates, and support staff at Grassfield Elementary. Forcing them to move to a new school environment could create unnecessary stress, adjustment challenges, and disruption of routines that are critical for elementary age students. Boundary decisions should prioritize continuity of learning environments and align with the district's long-term enrollment projections. Implementing short-term boundary changes without a clear long-range planning can create recurring disruptions for families, which is a shortcoming and concern of both options 3 and 4. I'm also concerned about future home devaluation, as our neighborhood is highly sought after because of Grassfield zoning. After talking with neighbors who have school-age children, including a few who are also in attendance tonight, it is clear we all moved to this neighborhood to be in Grassfield school zones. In closing, I respectfully request that the school board strongly consider option 1 or 2, which does the best job of lowering proposed capacity and reducing portable use. Thank you.
Speaker number 2, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin.
Trollinger, Chesapeake resident, Marine Corps disabled vet, Hampton Roads native. My wife Christy and I and our daughter Kendall and Dalton live in Creekwood South. So our son was born, he's a COVID baby, so we've got a 20-year-old and a kindergartner, whoops. So anyhow, as a COVID baby, he was almost completely nonverbal until he was 4. So my wife went through all the red tape of the IEP process, and we got him in a couple of years of preschool, and he's begun to thrive. So he's just about, I'd say, 98% caught up. But he still struggles with transitions and change. And when you've heard the term overstimulated and things of that nature, he basically melts down at any little change. He's caught wind of this, and he's a little freaked out about it. But in 2022, we had outgrown our little townhouse in Great Bridge at the Mill Landing area across from the neighborhood Walmart. So, we went to the maximum of our budget and looked around all of Chesapeake, and then realized that we had to go about 25% above that to move to Grassfield, which my mother used to work in the office at that school, and we knew a lot about it, and that's where we wanted our son to go to school. So, my wife's a homemaker. As I said, I have a Marine Corps disability, but I sell insurance from home, and we have a modest budget, and now a lot of expenses that are mortgaged at over $3,000 a month. So we're cutting it close, and we work hard, we do what we can, but we really can't squeeze anything else into the budget. So I've reviewed these options, and 3 and 4 basically take our little section of Creekwood South and put our son to a different school. So first, Marine Corps life teaches you to do everything on a very, very specific schedule, especially if you have a lot to do in a small amount of time. So that's how we sort of structure our day. And we're on a tight schedule in the morning. We're about 1.5 miles as the crow flies to Grassfield Elementary. And my wife, probably about 62 times in the last 25 days, has had me, if that's, physically possible, has had me take our son to school so that she could make the drive and time it out. So it takes us 3 minutes max to get to our school now, and 15 minutes to the new school. If we factor out inclement weather and traffic, just in decent traffic, so that would be difficult, to budget that time. So, I sympathize and empathize with the overcrowding issue. I went to Deep Creek High School, graduated when Moses wore short pants, so I don't want to say when, but we had portables, and it wasn't great. But I don't want anybody to be in portables. I want everyone to have a fair shot at the good education, but taking a $500,000 mortgage in a specific zone just to provide a good education for our son, and then a couple of years later being forced to move 2 streets over and pay $200 or $300 more for a house just for that isn't financially feasible. And I'm not asking for any special exception that I wouldn't expect for anyone else, but as a student on an IEP, I just think it's essential that he gets and keeps that continuity, and I think he deserves it. Thank you very much.
Speaker number 3, it's your turn at the podium. Please state your name and city of residence before you begin.
My name is Christy Jasmine. I live in Chesapeake. I just wanted to touch on something that my husband said. Yes, I did the drive. It takes us 3 minutes to get to school at Grassfield. It took me 15 minutes to get to the new school at the back of Culpeper, and that does not include inclement weather or any traffic that the school would generate itself. And everybody seems to think that once this bridge is done, it's going to be wonderful. But you're still going to have the same issues. It's still going to be backed up because now you're sending people who don't have to cross the bridge over the bridge. And it just doesn't logically, to us, make much sense. And I don't think it's a long-term solution. With every builder wants to build on every inch of land in Grassfield. So until they stop that, you're gonna have to build another new school somewhere else. Like, it's just not a solution. There's gonna have to be an intermediate school to support Cedar Road and Grassfield themselves. So I just think it's, maybe to y'all, it's a temporary fix, but I mean, to us, this is kind of devastating. So I just really wish that y'all would please consider options 1 or 2. Thank you.
This concludes our speakers for this evening.
Thank you for sharing your comments this evening. Our practice is to receive information, however, we don't usually engage in dialogue, and that is our intent tonight. If appropriate and not already provided, someone from the superintendent's staff will evaluate your concern and provide a response. We will now consider the consent agenda. I'll entertain a motion for approval. Moved by Ms. Swigert. Is there a second? Seconded by Dr. Quillen. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith.
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
Moving on to the information agenda, the first item this evening is the monthly financial report. Mrs. Glod.
Thank you, Chair Scott. We have included the February 2026 financial projections in board docs for tonight's meeting. At this time, revenue and projected expenditures continue to fall within expected ranges. For February, total realized revenue was approximately $58 million. This includes around $32 million from the state, about $25 million from the city, and the remaining funds from other local sources and the federal government. Total projected expenditures are about $55 million. When we include encumbrances, the total projection increases to $87 million. As for enrollment, March enrollment is anticipated to be lower than the December projection of 39,347, given its continued downward trend. Since March enrollment is used to calculate final state revenue, final fiscal year revenue will be less than budgeted. With that said, year-to-date expenditure savings are currently offsetting the anticipated decline in revenue. However, we are closely monitoring the impact of reduced enrollment on revenue and will adjust spending if needed to ensure expenditures do not exceed appropriation or actual revenue. I also want to share that solid progress is being made on our outstanding UKG project. The completion of the project is anticipated before the end of the fiscal year. This concludes my financial report for this evening, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
See any questions? Thank you, Mrs. Glod. The next item is the Special Education Overview and Annual Plan Part B Flow Through Application and Report for 2026-2027. Dr. Joppy.
Thank you, Madam Chair. In alignment with our strategic plan and a focus on our learners, the Department of Exceptional Learning plays a critical role in ensuring that all students are supported, challenged, and empowered to reach their full potential. So tonight, it's my pleasure to introduce our Director of Exceptional Learning, Ms. Tawanda Shirley, who will present an overview of the department's work, highlight the services provided to our students and schools, and review the annual plan that guides this important work each year. Ms. Shirley.
Good evening. Thank you, Dr. Joppy. Good evening, Chair Scott, Vice Chair Lamonia, and members of the school board. Thank you for the opportunity to share an overview of the Department of Exceptional Learning and the work we do in our division. This evening, I will be presenting to you the Department of Exceptional Learning Special Education updates, information regarding the Special Education Annual Plan, and next steps for the submission of the annual plan application. The Department of Exceptional Learning is organized into several key tiers of leadership to ensure all specialized areas are managed effectively. This organization structure consists of myself, the Director of Exceptional Learning, 2 Assistant Directors of Exceptional Learning, 3 Exceptional Learning Supervisors to include 2 Special Education Supervisors and 1 Gifted Education Supervisor, and 9 Special Education Administrators. The department provides support in 3 primary areas: special education services under the Individuals with Disability Education Act, also known as the IDEA, services under Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, and gifted education services. Under the IDEA, the Department of Exceptional Learning provides specialized instruction and services tailored to the individual needs of students with disabilities, ensuring that every student has the opportunity to reach their academic and functional goals. The Office of Gifted Education works to ensure gifted students have access to intellectually stimulating curriculum to fulfill their life's purpose. In grades K through 2, the focus is on universal screening to ensure no talent goes unnoticed. As students move into middle school, we use a cluster model within their home schools to provide concept-based learning. By high school, the focus shifts toward providing a wide array of advanced courses and critical social-emotional support to help them navigate their unique academic journeys. This slide includes additional areas of oversight for the Department of Exceptional Learning. As you can see, the Department of Exceptional Learning provides layered support to include early childhood special education services and transition and post-secondary services. One of our most impactful programs under specific programs is Project Search. For over 10 years, we have collaborated with Chesapeake Regional Hospital to support this initiative. Through this partnership, our students with disabilities working toward an applied studies diploma gain real-world vocational skills in a professional healthcare setting to bridge the gap between school and the workforce and build the confidence necessary for competitive employment after graduation. Our departmental priorities are aligned to broader state initiatives and performance indicators to ensure we are meeting the highest standards of accountability. Our first priority remains the accurate identification of exceptional learners, both in special education and gifted education. From there, we are deepening our focus on specially designed instruction, specifically targeting literacy and mathematics. Finally, we recognize that behavioral and social-emotional learning is necessary to support the whole child. Students with disabilities continue to make gains in all content areas. This slide provides you with an overview of how our students with disabilities in Chesapeake compared with the state average. As you can see, students with disabilities in Chesapeake Public Schools outperform the state average in all 5 core subject areas assessed. Because of the diverse needs of our students with disabilities within Chesapeake Public Schools, the Department of Exceptional Learning collaborates extensively with other departments across the division. We work closely with transportation to ensure students have access to services they need. We partner with curriculum and instruction to support inclusive instructional practices and alignment with division curriculum. We collaborate with assessment and accountability to ensure students are appropriately supported in state and division assessments. We also work with college and career readiness and academic support to help ensure that students with disabilities and gifted learners have pathways to success beyond graduation. The Department of Exceptional Learning maintains a continual collaborative partnership with the local Special Education Advisory Committee, also known as SEAC. Chesapeake Public Schools' partnership with SEAC supports a commitment of collaboration to advocacy that ensures Chesapeake Public Schools remains a leader in serving exceptional learners. As the Department of Exceptional Learning continues to support our exceptional learners, we strive to ensure that the work that we do through our key initiatives remains directly aligned to the core goals of the division: our learners, our people, our operations, our well-being, and our community. In order to move forward with these key initiatives, it is essential that we have the appropriate funding to support the needs of our students with disabilities. The Special Education Annual Plan Flow-Through Grant application provides the division with additional funding to support special education services for our students. At this time, I will share how the Special Education Flow-Through Grant assists in providing funding for special education services. The Special Education Annual Plan outlines how our school division will utilize federal grant funds provided through the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, IDEA, specifically Part B, Section 611, and Section 619 funds to support students with disabilities across our division. The annual plan review is a required component of the Individuals with Disability Education Act of 2004 and the Virginia Department of Education's regulations governing special education programs for children with disabilities in Virginia. Prior to the May 8, 2026 submission date to the Virginia Department of Education, this review of the proposed annual plan application must be reviewed by the local Special Education Advisory Committee and reviewed and approved by the local school board. At the March 18, 2026 Special Education Advisory Committee meeting, I presented the 2026-2027 Special Education Proposed Annual Plan to the committee for their review. Tonight, I will present to you, school board members, the 2026-2027 Special Education Annual Plan for your review and approval prior to the May 8, 2026 submission due date. So what is the Special Education Annual Plan? Part B of the IDEA provides federal funding to states and local educational agencies to support special education and related services for students with disabilities. In order to receive federal funding for special education under Title VI-B of the IDEA, school divisions must submit an annual plan application to the Virginia Department of Education for review and approval. As part of the application guidelines by the Virginia Department of Education, federal funding awarded through the 6B grant must only be used for the provision of special education and related services of students with disabilities. The Virginia Department of Education requires local education agencies to include assurances for receiving federal funding under the IDEA. Part B, by demonstrating compliance with federal and state laws and regulations. This includes the assurance that a free and appropriate public education will be provided to children with disabilities, the assurance that an individual education program is developed in order to provide appropriate special education services to eligible children, the assurance that students with disabilities are provided special education services in their least restrictive environment, and the assurance that all special education policies and procedures according to the IDEA and Virginia regulations are adhered to. Additional components of the annual plan require the LEA with a regional or local jail in its jurisdiction to establish and/or maintain an interagency agreement with the sheriff or jail administrator responsible for the operation of the jail, ensuring that special education services are provided to incarcerated youth who are eligible for special education services. The Virginia Department of Education also requires LEAs to maintain a consistent level of spending on special education and related services known as maintenance of effort. This means that school divisions must spend at least the same amount of local or local plus state dollars on special education and related services as they did in the previous fiscal year. Lastly, the annual plan requires the local education agencies to set aside a proportionate amount of their flow-through funds to serve special education students who are unilaterally enrolled by their parents in private schools. The Virginia Department of Education determines the amount to be awarded each year to the LEA based on the division's total number of students eligible for special education services on or before December 1 of each year. The December 1, 2025 child count submission for Chesapeake Public Schools was 6,841 students with disabilities. The numbers on this slide represent the total number of students with disability categories that make up the 6,841 students with disabilities who are actively receiving special education services as of December 1, 2025. Section 611 funds present or represent the largest portion of the IDEA funding and are designed to support services for students with disabilities ages 3 through 21. A total of $9.7 million is allocated to Section 611 in the grant award. These funds will be used to pay salaries and benefits of a portion of our special education teachers and special education teacher assistants. Section 619 funds specifically support preschool special education services for children ages 3 through 5. The amount of $225,842 is allocated to Section 619 in the grant award. Section 619 of the grant funding is used to pay salary and benefits for a portion of our special education preschool teaching staff. Next steps. This evening, I have presented to you the proposed 2026-2027 annual plan flow-through grant application. The application will be under consent at the April 20th, 2026 school board meeting. Following the approval of the application and signature from Dr. Cotton, the application will be submitted to the Virginia Department of Education prior to the May 8th, 2026 submission due date. Thank you for your continued support to our students, our educators, and the important work of the special education in our school division. I am happy to answer any questions you may have at this time.
I don't see any questions, but Dr. Shirley, I appreciate you. I appreciate your dedication and your passion for exceptional learning in Chesapeake Public Schools. I loved seeing you at the Project Search Info Night the other night. That's above and beyond your duties, and I appreciate you. And I'm also especially proud to see the stats that our students with disabilities performed above average in every single category. That's something to be proud of, so thank you so
Absolutely.
much.
Thank you. Thank you all.
The next item is the local plan for career and technical education, Perkins Funds, Dr. Joppi.
Thank you, Chair Scott. We continue to be committed to preparing every student for success beyond graduation. And a critical part of this work is ensuring our career and technical education programs remain strong, relevant, and aligned with the needs of both our students and our local workforce. This evening, I have the honor of introducing Dr. Anna Helmer, our Program Administrator for Career and Technical Education. Dr. Helmer has been instrumental in leading efforts to expand opportunities for students to gain real-world skills, industry credentials, and meaningful post-secondary pathways. She's here tonight to present the annual Carl Perkins local plan and budget for the 26-27 school year. Dr. Helmer.
Very good. There we go. Good evening, Madam Chair Scott, Vice Chair Lamonia, members of the board, Dr. Cotton, and the superintendent's staff. It is a privilege to stand before you this evening to once again present our proposed Carl Perkins local plan and budget for the upcoming 26-27 school year. A copy of the Perkins plan has been provided for you, but I will highlight some of the plan details this evening. This grant is a vital funding source that ensures our Chesapeake CTE programs remain cutting edge and continue to provide our students with exceptional workforce-ready opportunities. In Chesapeake CTE programs, our ultimate goal is to prepare our students for what comes after they cross the graduation stage. We frame our strategic focus around three main pathways: enrollment, enlistment, and employment, also known as the 3 E's, and directly aligned with our state's accreditation standards. For enrollment, we are setting students up for higher education through dual enrollment, career study certificates, and our specialized academies. For enlistment, we proudly support those students choosing to serve our country through the Air Force Junior ROTC programs and schedule regular recruiter visits supported by our work-based learning coordinators and our school counselors. And for employment, we prioritize work-based learning and celebrate our students entering the workforce with our Career Signing Day. All of this exploration is planning is tracked by using Major Clarity, a platform that ensures that every student in our district has a personalized roadmap for their future. How do we guide our students through these pathways? through our work-based learning continuum. We recognize that career navigation must start long before senior year. We ignite their interest early through summer experiences like STEM Camp, Introduction to CTE Camp, and Specialized Academy Camps. As they progress, we provide innovative tools like Transfer Career Interactive Meta Goggles to provide virtual hands-on exposure to different trades. We then connect them directly to the community through a massive hands-on events like Worlds of Work for all of our 8th grade students and Future Focus Day for 9th graders. To support work-based learning for our students, we provide engaging, content-specific career experiences across our high schools, the Chesapeake Career Center, and our specialized academies. Within our comprehensive high schools, students build foundational skills through targeted career and technical education courses and spark their professional interests. This exploration is elevated at the Chesapeake Career Center, where students engage in intensive hands-on training with industry standard equipment to earn highly valued workplace credentials. Meanwhile, our specialized academies offer rigorous, focused pathways that connect students with expert mentors in advanced field studies. Together, this dynamic continuum ensures that every student can bridge the gap between classroom theory and real-world application through meaningful internships, apprenticeships, and job shadowing opportunities. Outside of the classroom, students experience opportunities with regional businesses and the City of Chesapeake for our Take a Peek Job Shadowing Day. And beginning this year, our Beyond the Diploma event in partnership with Virginia Ed Strategies. This event will highlight the 3 E's, providing high school juniors and seniors with pathway options beyond their diplomas. This event will be held April the 30th at the Chesapeake Conference Center. In summary, this continuum is a comprehensive, step-by-step journey designed specifically for our Chesapeake students to hone in on their desired pathway. As we look forward to the next few years, our focus aligns with the board's mission of growth and modernization. First, we plan to a continued expansion of our work-based learning events, bridging the gap between classrooms and the local workforce. We are, of course, incredibly excited about the development of a new career academy and the new Chesapeake Career Center. These facilities will drastically upgrade our capabilities. Furthermore, we are pushing CTE earlier into our curriculum by adding a middle school credit-bearing CTE course, allowing younger students to start earning high school CTE credits even earlier. Finally, to make all of this happen, we are heavily investing in professional development to ensure that our educators remain at the forefront of industry standards. To support these initiatives, here is a breakdown of our proposed Carl Perkins grant for the 26-27 school year, which totals $707,300.37. This is broken down specifically starting on page 60 of the Perkins Plan document. As you can see, the largest portion of our budget, over $424,000, is dedicated directly to capital outlay and equipment. This ensures our classrooms and labs in Chesapeake are outfitted with the actual industry standard materials our students will use in the workforce. We are also allocating approximately $192,000 to purchase services, which covers vital teacher professional development, student participation in our career and technical student organizations, and virtual network access, allowing students and teachers 24/7 access to high-demand industry standard softwares. The remaining funds carefully cover curriculum alignment, support for our Worlds of Work and Beyond the Diploma events, and other administrative costs. Every dollar is strategically mapped to maximize student impact and district return on investment. This plan is based on level funding from our 25-26 Perkins allocation. Final allocations will be released in the late summer or early fall, and the plan will be adjusted accordingly. Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board, for your time tonight and for your support of career and technical education programs in Chesapeake. Action to approve the CTE plan will be requested at the April 20th meeting. Your dedication to our students' futures makes this work possible. Thank you again for your continued support, and I'd be happy to answer any questions the board might have at this time.
I don't see any questions at this time, but Dr. Helmer, we appreciate you as well. I'm so proud of CTE and Chesapeake Public Schools. I've had 2 students at the Career Center, one in the building trades program, one in welding. it's just exceptional here in Chesapeake. I've attended Worlds of Work, Take a Peek Job Shadowing Day. I've been in on the meetings for the Beyond the Diploma Future Pathways, thanks to Dr. Wyndham Pittman over there. She was adamant about that name. But great job. You're doing a fabulous job here in Chesapeake. Thank you. Moving on to the action agenda, the only item is the attendance zone options for the new elementary school in the Culpeper Landing subdivision. Ms. Stutz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The initial presentation for the establishment of an attendance zone for the new elementary school in Culpeper Landing was initially presented to the school board at the January 26th meeting. A public hearing and work session was held at the February 23rd school board meeting. Earlier this evening, of course, we had our second and final public hearing, and tonight Dr. Martinez will briefly review the option recommended by administration and provide some follow-up to questions that were asked at the last meeting. Pedro?
Good evening, everyone. Tonight we are here for the third and final presentation on the elementary school attendance rezoning for the new school being built at Culpeper Landing. Our goal throughout this process has been to establish stable boundaries for our newest facility while providing essential overcrowding relief to Cedar Road, Deep Creek Central, Deep Creek, and Grassfield elementary schools. Our agenda tonight includes a comparative review of our options, an examination of the staff recommended option 3, and a response to questions about future residential growth. We will conclude with the implementation plan and an overview of the proposed rezoning timeline. On this slide, you see a side-by-side comparison of the 4 attendance zone options we have evaluated. Although all options address the opening of the new school, they differ in how they allocate students to relieve overcrowding. As we have gone through the public hearing process, we have examined how each of these options impacts school capacity and transportation efficiency. Tonight, we will examine why option 3 has turned into the most sustainable long-term solution. This table compares the capacity percentages for the 4 options. Option 3, the recommended choice, stands out as one of only 2 options that brings the capacity of every school in the study area below 100%. This option is estimated to lower capacity to 89% at Cedar Road Elementary and 96% at Grassfield Elementary. This reduction creates essential breathing room to accommodate anticipated residential growth without leading to immediate re-overcrowding. On this slide, you can see a summary of the pros and cons of option 3. Option 3 eliminates overcrowding across all schools and significantly reduces the reliance on portable classrooms. While it does require some students near Cedar Road to attend Grassfield, it is a preferred choice of our transportation department for operational efficiency. As we consider how upcoming residential development may influence these proposed boundaries, it's important to understand the guidelines outlined in the City of Chesapeake's 2045 Comprehensive Plan. This slide serves as the key for the maps you will see in the upcoming slides. The base colors you see here and on subsequent maps represent the city's overlay districts, which dictate the density and type of residential development allowed in our community. It is important to note that when residential development applications are submitted, the city evaluates them directly against this comprehensive plan. This means the plan is a standard by which the city determines whether a project is appropriate for a specific area. The urban overlay, shown in blue, supports the highest densities and mixed-use developments often located near major transit corridors. The suburban overlay is shown in tan color. These areas are marked by higher residential densities and access to public utilities, which naturally leads to a greater concentration of school-age children. In contrast, the rural overlay, shown in green color, is designed to protect agricultural land. Densities here are strictly limited, often to just 1 dwelling per 3 acres. Because public utilities like water and sewer are generally non-existent, the city's plan intentionally limits growth here. Please keep these colors and their corresponding densities in mind as we move forward. When you see the base colors on the maps for option 3, you will be able to identify which neighborhoods are expected to remain stable and which are positioned for the approved and unapproved growth we are about to discuss. Our proposed option 3 boundaries are shown on this map, which is placed onto the city's overlay districts. You can see the clusters of approved residential developments highlighted in green on this slide. The majority of the activity is concentrated within the existing suburban zones. On this slide, you can see the proposed residential developments that have not been approved. As with the approved developments, the majority of activity is concentrated within the existing suburban zones. To address Mr. McCormick's concerns about growth shared with us during the work session held on February 23rd, we take a closer look at the residential developments and corresponding student growth in the Grassfield and Cedar Road elementary areas. This slide highlights the current approved developments in green. Once fully developed, we estimate the number of additional elementary school students shown on the slide for each project, resulting in approximately 297 additional students for Grassfield Elementary and 102 for Cedar Road Elementary. The student projection is an estimate based on historical data on elementary school student yields per housing type across the city. Student enrollment is projected to increase over time, aligning with the phased completion of new homes. Although construction on these projects is anticipated to commence within the next 5 years, the influx of students into the school system will be gradual, occurring over several years as housing construction and sales are finalized. This slide highlights the parcels marked in red, which show residential developments submitted to the city that are still pending. While these projects may require further revisions before moving forward, we have included the projected student counts based on their current plans so the board has a full picture of the potential impact. Because these projects lack final approval, we do not anticipate any additional students from these specific sites in the near future. If these projects are fully developed, we estimate the number of additional elementary school students shown on the slide for each project, resulting in approximately 100 additional students for Grassfield Elementary and 116 for Cedar Road Elementary. Please remember that this is an estimate based on historical data on elementary school student yields by housing type citywide. This slide summarizes all approved and unapproved projects in the Grassfield and Cedar Road areas. You can see that the Grassfield Elementary area has the highest concentration of potential students compared to Cedar Road Elementary. Between the two schools, Grassfield Elementary is better suited to accommodate more students because it is a larger facility and its common areas have a larger footprint than those at Cedar Road Elementary. Bringing Cedar Road Elementary to 89% capacity under option 3 helps us minimize the likelihood that it will need an additional rezoning in the near future. If further relief is eventually needed for Grassfield due to these developments, our capital improvement plan allows us to consider a future expansion of Deep Creek Central Elementary. Additionally, please understand that we consider the potential impact of future unsubmitted residential projects in the area manageable. Most proposed new developments are located in the suburban overlay zone, which currently has very few large parcels available for new residential projects. Conversely, high-density development is unlikely in the rural overlay district to the south due to a lack of utilities and a misalignment with the city's 2045 comprehensive plan guidelines. Also, please remember that this analysis only considers additional students from new residential developments and does not account for potential decreases in student enrollment due to lower birth rates and smaller kindergarten classes expected in the near future. That's why it remains important to continue monitoring changes in student enrollment in the coming school years following the implementation of the attendance rezoning. Let us now review our implementation plan shown on this slide. The new attendance zones will take effect in September 2027. We are not recommending grandfathering for elementary students to ensure we meet our capacity goals immediately after the new school opens. Also, it is important to remember that this rezoning does not affect middle or high school zones. We have already held school board presentations and an open house as shown on this calendar. Additionally, over the past several weeks, we have held staff meetings at all impacted schools and conducted a community survey with the results shared with the school board during the first public hearing. Following tonight's hearing, we are requesting final action from the board. We are now available to answer any specific questions any board member may have regarding the attendance rezoning.
I do not see any questions. I'm sorry, I had to look 3 times to make sure my eyes were seeing correctly. Thank you, Mr. Martinez, for your presentation and all the time that your team spent on this.
Of course, thank you.
I will entertain a motion for approval.
So moved.
Moved by Mr. Poole. Is there a second? Seconded by Mr. Lamonia. Is there any discussion? Ms. Walker?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank the families that came out to speak tonight. I know for some that are maybe watching on TV, they may think it's a small thing, but I know from personal experience, it's not a small thing when you get rezoned, especially when you move to a specific area specifically for the schools. So my heart really goes out to those families that expressed concern tonight. I also, and I believe I've said this before, so I probably sound like a broken record, I just think it's important that everybody knows that when it comes to things like new developments, we as a school board, we have an obligation to educate the students that are in our district. And unfortunately, we don't have the final say on what developments get approved and the impact of that to our schools. So I just think that needs to be said because for some of the folks that spoke tonight, I'd encourage you to continue to take a look at what developments are being approved and feel free to speak in front of City Council because at the end of the day, they're the ones that make these decisions. So thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. Well said. So the motion was made by Mr. Poole and it was seconded by Mr. Lamonia
What was the motion?
to approve option 3. I believe. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Dr. Smith?
Motion carries with a vote of 8-1 with Board Member McCormick voting in opposition.
We will now move on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Cotton.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the board. I do have a few announcements before I get to the spotlight for this evening. We are putting the finishing touches on the State of the Schools address that will be held April 2nd at the Chesapeake Conference Center. I hope you will be able to join me for this important event sponsored by the Chesapeake Public Schools Educational Foundation. I certainly look forward to seeing you there. I would also like to remind our families that our online registration for the 26-27 school year opens on April 6th. For new and special enrollments, especially rising kindergartners, please visit our student enrollment page on the Chesapeake Public Schools website to register. And while National Assistant Principals Week is typically recognized April 6th through the 10th, our schools will be closed for spring break, but we look forward to celebrating all of our outstanding assistant principals when they return from break April 13th through the 17th, hopefully in a great mood. And finally, I would like to request the school board's consideration of a revision to the 25-26 academic calendar, which of course I would need board approval to make any changes to the calendar as the board approves our calendar. I would like for the board to consider designating April 21st as an asynchronous virtual learning day for all students. And this request is due to the unexpected special election during which 17 of our schools will serve as public polling locations. For several years, Chesapeake Public Schools has intentionally worked to avoid in-person instruction on election days due to concerns about student safety. Election days, particularly those of a national significance, are typically scheduled as teacher work days with no students on campus for this very reason. And given the number of impacted sites and the heightened safety considerations, a similar approach is warranted in this case. So an asynchronous day will allow for continuity of instruction while minimizing the presence of students and staff in our buildings. Of course, with board approval, I would like to follow up with staff to provide details to our schools on how we would handle this day. But I would like to ask the school board to consider a change in our calendar to move April 21st to an asynchronous day for students.
I'll entertain a motion for approval. Mr. Lamonia, I'm sorry.
Madam Chair, I move to amend the 25-26 school calendar by designating April 21st, 2026 as an asynchronous instructional day for all students.
Is there a second? Seconded by Ms. Huddle. The motion has been made by Mr. Lamonia and seconded by Ms. Huddle. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Dr. Smith?
Motion carries with all board members voting yes.
Thank you for that. With that, I'll move on to the superintendent spotlight. Thank you again for time to present the superintendent spotlight tonight. Springtime is officially upon us, and I'm excited to be able to showcase some of the highlights from across our district as we head towards spring break. To start tonight, I wanted to give my congratulations to Mrs. Katrina Smith, an English teacher at Western Branch High School, for being named as the statewide Literacy Teacher of the Year by the Virginia State Literacy Association. This award recognizes her leadership in literacy and her ability to create a love of reading and writing in her students. Congratulations, Mrs. Smith, and thank you for your dedication and for being an inspiration to your students at Western Branch High. Students from Western Branch Primary also had some inspiration a few days ago during Career Day. Local professionals were invited to the school where they were able to showcase their jobs and careers to curious students. Presenters included doctors, firefighters, engineers, police officers, park rangers, zoologists, and more. Students were able to participate in hands-on activities and explore over 25 different career paths. Thank you to Western Branch Primary and all the professionals for putting this event together and igniting the spark of curiosity for our youngest learners. Our primary school students may not know what their careers will look like, but our students at the Chesapeake Career Center are already well on their way to employment. Recently, the Career Center received $1 million to help support building a new state-of-the-art facility. Congresswoman Jen Kiggins was on hand to present the district with the federal funding that will also allow for the expansion of our current course offerings. Our students were excited to give Congresswoman Kiggins and her team a tour of the current center and show off the different hands-on skills they are mastering every day. Thank you to the Commonwealth of Virginia, Congresswoman Kiggins, and our local leaders for your support of Chesapeake Public Schools. Together, we are building a stronger workforce and a brighter tomorrow. I wanted to give a huge thank you to the Begin Again Foundation for generously donating restroom receptacles for all of our 4th and 5th grade girls' restrooms throughout the district. We are grateful for how much you care for our girls, and we appreciate your thoughtfulness. The support from all of our community partners makes a massive difference in our students' lives, and we are so thankful for all of the organizations that play a part in making a meaningful difference in our district. Our students at Jolliffe Middle School showed off their skills during their annual Makers Fest and Science Fair, where students led interactive stations for the community. I always enjoy seeing our students step up as leaders and share their talents, and I can tell you that everyone who attended had a fantastic time. Thank you to Jolliffe Middle for giving our students a platform to lead and show off their skills. To celebrate National Reading Month, schools across the district have participated in a variety of reading-themed activities. I know many of our board members have been a part of that. Many of you were welcome guest readers, including Chairman Kim Scott and several members of the school board and cabinet. I had the pleasure of visiting several schools, including Greenbrier Primary last week, to read to Ms. Satchel's 2nd grade class. Together, we read an interactive book entitled, "I Don't Want to Read This Book," and shared plenty of laughs. Thank you to Mrs. Loudon and Ms. Satchel for the invitation, and thank you to all of our schools who welcomed guest readers as a part of their National Reading Month festivities. Nothing completes March like a little bit of basketball. Teams at Carver Intermediate and Thurgood Marshall Elementary embraced the March Madness spirit. This year's game was hosted by Carver Intermediate and featured a fierce competition between the two teams. The event also showcased the cheer and step teams from both schools. In 10 years, the game between the Tiger schools has become a tradition that celebrates athletic excellence, teamwork, and school spirit. Congratulations to the students who put on this fantastic event and to all the staff who volunteered to make it possible. This completes my spotlight for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Cotton. I think I speak on behalf of the board when I say thank you to all of our teachers and reading specialists for allowing board members and administrative staff into your classrooms. What an absolute privilege and delight to be with our students. They also keep us humble. It turns out they think 1990 was a really long time ago. I wasn't going to tell them I was born before that, but Dr. Cotton was born a long, long time before that. Do any other board members have any additional comments? Ms. Huddle?
Dr. Cotton and I are both privileged to represent the school board on the Access College Foundation Board. March is their March Matchness campaign. We are fortunate to have a very strong partnership with Access in the financial aid counselors they put in each of our schools. I know we are both regular donors, and I would encourage anyone who's not yet chosen to support Access to please consider that, especially at a time when another generous donor will match whatever you contribute.
I don't see any other comments this evening. I do want to take this opportunity before we adjourn to wish a very happy birthday to Dr. Joppy. Her birthday is March 29th. And then also to Vice Chair Lamonia, whose birthday was on March 19th. Mike, you look amazing for 85 years old. I don't think you look a day over 70. It must be all those collagen peptides you take and stuff. With that, I call this meeting adjourned.